Hello there. And for some reason my sound is not working. I'm just going to try to fix this real quick while I'm running this replay. And while I'm introducing these two players, both players are... I think this is KawaiiHano. He sent me this replay. And the replay was named Hano T KongKong2. So KongKong is playing the pink, maybe purple, maybe magenta. I'm not quite sure what color this is, but it looks like pink. And I'm not getting sound. Maybe you're getting sound, but I'm not getting sound in my headset here. Anyway, KawaiiHano, who's playing NeverloseBoy, and he is a friend of mine from Starcraft world, and he sent me this replay, asked me to cast it, so I'm gonna honor him. I'm gonna cast this replay for him because you gotta be loyal to your fans, and he honestly has quite an interesting style of play. So both players just chatting away a little bit. I've never heard of KongKong2. I don't know what his level is, what he's capable of. But given that this is a Zerg versus Terran, I expect to see a lot of interesting things because this matchup in particular is one of my more favorite matchups. It feels like the most balanced matchup compared to any matchup that has a Protoss in it, basically. This should be interesting. He does place his hatchery a little bit far away from the choke, but against a Terran specifically, that's not all that important. Against a Protoss, you want it closer because you want to close off this hole here. Against a Terran, that's not much of importance. He immediately scouts him, so he goes for the mid spots first. He probably knows that it's a Terran versus Zerg, so he starts with scouting off just the entrances, I assume. And the middle spots are the quickest to scout if you go for the entrances, so it's very logical to go for the entrance first. This Overlord almost finds him. He's going to have to pull that Overlord back because Marines are spawning, and that Overlord is in immediate danger. Bunkers being thrown down very early there at the choke, but Zerglings are not yet. Zerglings are now on the way as the pool finishes. Pool finishes just a little bit late, so the bunker might actually be up and running before the Zerglings arrive to fire at it. He's not focusing on the Sunken just yet. He was going to have to take that Sunken down because the Sunken is going to be a real problem for him. Once these Zerglings all finish and are able to attack the SCV, there the Sunken finishes. The Sunken first focuses on the SCV. That's a target fire, otherwise it would fire on the bunker, so the SCV cannot repair the bunker. A little bit of a mismanage from the NeverloseBoy there for not focusing down that Sunken first. The Sunken almost went down to the bunkers. The Marines in the bunker, but the Marines eventually also go down. Zerglings come out victorious. The choke is being established. Gas is also being thrown down. It's in 2 hatcheries. And he's already mining gas. KawaiiHano is also mining gas himself. His Marines get cut out by these Zerglings, but he marks back the Marines. The Marines not faltering, taking down those Zerglings without much effort. More Zerglings coming in through the front. He marks back the Marine really well, just in time before it dies to one more hit. And now the game is in a bit of a lull. Because right now, both players are just going to have to wait before they can pull off another offensive move. The Zergling is positioned there to spot the Marines leaving the base. But in this specific case, he does actually see them leaving the base. They spot each other. Marines take down the Zergling. And the game goes back into its slowed down state. KongKong has not made more Sunkens at his front just yet. He's all investing into getting a lair, getting those drones on the minerals to get his economy running. Now he's finally adding on more Sunkens at the front. Creep colonies being morphed. There's a factory in the middle. He's going for a single factory push, which is something that on original Starcraft, it was more common to go for 2 factories right away. Well, he's actually going for a 2 factory push. But on Bird War, it's more common to see a single factory push into a fast starport and a science facility. In this specific case, NeverloseBoy is not going for that combination. And I'm just going to replug my microphone real quick to see if that fixes the sound issue that I'm having. And yeah, it fixed the sound issue that I was having. So now I got my sound back. For some reason, my microphone stopped the sound from, existing. So anyway, he's now on 2 hatcheries there. There's a Hydraulics Den coming up. There's a Zerg Spire also coming up. He's adding on more gas. So he's either going for I'm not sure if he's going for Hydralisks, but he's most definitely going for Mutalisks, because if he was going for Hydralisks, he would have this Hydralisk Den up way earlier, so he could immediately start the Hydralisk Lurker upgrade at this point into the game. I'm just going to look at this from KongKong's perspective for a little bit to give you a little bit of an idea what this looks like from the Zerg's perspective, because right now he has the information that there is something being built there, which is most likely an engineering bay. Let's see. It is an engineering bay. So he knows that a push is coming. So now he's pushing out these Sunkens into the middle of the map just to make the duration that the push for the Terran is going to take longer. So he buys himself more time to get the units that he needs, to get the tech that he needs. There's the Queen's Nest. The Queen's Nest comes out late, so that tells us he is going for, I want to say Mutalisks, but he is going for Zergling speed. He's not making any units. He doesn't have the gas for Mutalisks either, because he's researching the Lurkers. And you can see that there are medics and a lot of Marines out for NeverloseBoy. It also is a counter indicator that Mutalisks are not the best choice. He's been pumping Marines from 3 barracks there. He's now on the 2 tank push. There's no starport out, so Lurkers would be really, really strong in this specific situation. Because there's also no command center, no scan. Of course, KongKong does not know all these facts. But Lurkers would be able to stop NeverloseBoy from progressing deeper into KongKong space. And this is kind of the reason why most people go for a starport into a science facility right after that first factory. Because it allows them to continue to push without getting slowed down by Hydralisks, or well, more specifically Lurkers. There are 2 Scorches there, which were made for specifically vessels, early vessels. So he's expecting vessels, but there's no starport out yet, so no vessels will be coming, although the starports have now just finished, but there's no science facility. So the Scorches were a very good countermeasure, but there's no vessel out yet. He's already researching his hive. It's pretty deep into the process of morphing, so that will be coming up very soon. Lurkers have finished. Lurkers are just rolling back just a little bit by bit, not to get into the fire of the Sunkens and tanks. Turrets there to detect the Lurkers, so the Lurkers cannot advance deeper into the maps. Timber Brigade is now on the way. Hive is about to finish. And I honestly think he's gonna make the Phyllis Mound, because all these starports here with which he's making raids will be a great counter to air options. Lurkers coming in, Lurkers go into the range of the turret, but most of the Lurkers are outside of the range of the turret. There's no scan, there's no detection. So this frontal part of the push is gonna go down to the Lurkers. And he's gonna lose more tanks than I would like him to see lose. There's another tank goes down, this tank is very low HP, he's gonna have to get repaired. Tank's now sieging up a little bit further back within the range of the turret vision and detection. So KongKong manages to buy himself some time, and NeverloseBoy is unable to advance his push because he does have a science facility, but there's no vessel out yet. He's now adding on a control tower, so he can start building those vessels, so he can keep progressing his game plan and put on the offense once again. But 2 Defiler mounts have been thrown on at the very same time. I don't know if that's overkill or if that's a very smart investment to make 2 at the same time. Because I honestly think at this stage in the game, you honestly only need that consume. You don't need the plague just yet. You don't need the energy just yet. You just need the consume. And the plague can come out a little bit later once the Terran has a bigger mass out. But he goes for both plague and consume at the same time. That's quite a bit of a hefty investment. But he's on 4 gas, so his gas income will be able to stabilize just a little bit. The 4 gas income is a little bit low, but it should be enough in this specific case. And this is where we are going to see a very low economy Zerg fight against a bigger economy Terran. And honestly, Zerg is capable of playing that, because once you get Lurker Swarm down in your front here, in your choke, the Terran cannot progress, and the Terran will have to go for other alternative options to deal damage to the Zerg and progress into the base of the Zerg, and pretty much your punches are being countered by an impenetrable defense, that is the Lurker Swarm. And you pretty much just need vessels against the Filers, because otherwise you will not be able to advance deeper into the Zerg's base. Right, he's got a pretty good combination now. He's got units prepared, Scorch prepared for the vessels. He consumes, he throws down the Plague. The lurker's gonna run into the swarm, and they're burrowed up under the swarm. Now all this entire group of units here is gonna have to pull back or die to these lurkers under the swarm. Most of the units actually go down before they can pull back. Tank survives on 19 HP, but all the marines that were there and all the tanks that were here have all gone down. And KawaiiHano, aka NeverloseBoy, has been pushed back once again. Another swarm comes out to extend the duration that these units are hidden under there. Goes for the Scorches. And now he's just building on his upgrades. He isn't really adding on more drones to his income. So his income is very, very small. Just a single hit from a vessel on his drones could spell the end for KongKong. He does not have burrow. He does manage to very, very neatly unstack the drones and kill the one radiated drone before the rest also die. They're all on very low HP. Just 2 more ticks of radiate and they would have gone down. That's a very nice and sweet move from KongKong there. And KawaiiHano is now just trying to get control over this entire middle section to prevent KongKong from progressing deeper into the map and pushing KawaiiHano back into his own base. KawaiiHano now has 3 starports up, making vessels, and a bunch of factories there on the middle, mostly there to produce tanks or Goliaths in the case that KongKong is going for air. A couple of mulists are out. This could spell the coming of Guardians because the Great Aspire is also on the way. Another hatchet being thrown down, spores being constructed on the sides to protect himself against those vessels that just now proved to be quite dangerous, although he did survive that vessel attack without losing a single, well, he lost a single drone, but without losing too many drones. Now he's throwing down a swarm. This is basically how you have to play Terran versus Zerg on the fastest map when they go for the lurker swarm combination. You have to be very aggressive with your vessels in the sense that you have to keep radiating those defilers before they can get those swarms down. Otherwise, you're going to be in a stalemate situation just like this, where your tanks are unable to advance and the Zerg is capable of just keeping you out of his base. KawaiiHano sees that Scorches are going to the side, so he goes for the radiate. He gets a good radiate off and he kills about 4 drones, I think. I didn't see the number of drones go down all that much. And now because those lurker swarms have been thrown down, now the lurker swarm has ended. Because he's been throwing down lurker swarms, he's capable of finally adding onto his economy and onto his base. Get himself a little bit bigger. Upgrades are on the way for KawaiiHano. Adding on more starports in his base, more factories on the middle. All the factories in the middle have now getting their machine shops added on. It's a very slow progression here in the game, although it's only 12 minutes in, so the game is actually progressing quite as expected. KongKong is slowly losing his defilers there. KawaiiHano decides to push in once he has that defiler radiate, but another defiler just spawned. It's going to consume a Zergling and throw down another swarm before these 2 swarms here are going to expire. So KawaiiHano still unable to push in. He's now, instead of pushing, because he is unable to push in, he's now electing to go for more control on the sides there. Denying KongKong vision on the sides, but also providing himself vision on the sides with those turrets there. Overlords will be pushed away. Guardians have finished, but it's only 2 Guardians. He gets a good radiate off on the defiler there in the back, but there's another defiler here, but doesn't have energies, it doesn't have consumed anything. He didn't either throw a swarm down as well. So now that the swarm is delayed, he has to consume something, because most of his lurkers here in the front have gone down before a new swarm comes down. This honestly gives KawaiiHano the opportunity to move his tanks in to the sides here. And that would put him in a really good position to start his advance into KongKong's base. KongKong's economy it's got a little bit bigger. His army size is very, very small. But the lurker swarm is extending the game for him. Now Valkyries have come out. Valkyries are going to chase down these overlords here on the side and make life absolutely sour for KongKong. And it's still pretty much just a stalemate. Pretty much just whoever makes the biggest mistake of... Mostly comes down to KongKong making a mistake or just playing this perfectly. If KongKong can advance and get a swarm off here, and KawaiiHano is too slow with unsieging, then KongKong gets control over the middle of the map. But once KongKong fails to get down a lurker swarm in time, it is the opportunity for KawaiiHano to just push in and get control over this section here. Once he has control over that section here, the game is pretty much over for KongKong. But KongKong is playing this pretty well. He keeps adding on new lurkers under that swarm. He keeps throwing down new swarms just in time before the swarm expires. KawaiiHano now decides to push in, but considering that there are now more lurkers under that swarm. It's going to be hard for him. He throws another swarm. They're on the side. Tanks are going to get spotted out and cut out next to the dark swarm. And the lurkers are going to take them down very, very quickly and very easily. These tanks here in the front are now exposed, but no tanks are within the range to take them down. It's just instead they move them there to the side. Well, KongKong is holding on really well. His supply is steadily growing. He's now on 122, 118 because he's losing scorches there on the side. KawaiiHano's base has grown exponentially. 4 command centers. Pretty much every single upgrade is on the way for air and for ground. Although right now he's only researching weapon upgrades for his air and for his ground. Turrets have been thrown on the side. Valkyries are trying to fight these Devourers, but Devourer's debuff is just too strong for these Valkyries to deal with. Valkyries pretty much deal no damage now. They deal more damage than no damage. Still something. Like the splash damage from the Valkyries, I think, does not get reduced, just the main damage. They still go down pretty quick. And it's still a stalemate here in the front. But while the stalemate has been going on, KongKong has been capable of building more onto his base. A lot of spores now, all the upgrades being researched for every single unit. Now he's deciding to go out, sending his Zerglings out into those tanks, but a swarm has to come down very, very quickly. He's just, I assume he's just cleaning out the frontal line here of those Terran units. Now he's morphing these two into lurkers just to buy himself some time. Now the Guardians are coming in, but there are a lot of vessels there ready to radiate. Well, actually, only a single one has energy, so only a single radiate comes out. Valkyrie now goes forward, ready to finish those Guardians off. Guardians going down. The Guardians have cleaned out quite a couple of tanks and units there in the front. That's a nice pickup for KongKong, forcing KawaiiHano back away from having control over this choke here. I mean, he does have control over the choke, but the choke is being contested. His control is being contested. No swarm is out yet. This is the opportunity for KawaiiHano to advance deeper in, but a swarm immediately comes down just before he's able to. He finds the Defiler, puts Radiate onto the Defiler. The Defiler is going to go down, but it's going to get down. Another swarm just before it goes down. Yes, it gets the swarm off just before it goes down and extends the life of the lurkers under the swarm. So once again, KawaiiHano is in a stalemate where he's unable to progress because the Dark Swarm just keeps him out. These vessels here on the side have been placed there because he's planning on going for the minerals once again, radiating those drones, perhaps even going for the lawnmower mode where you radiate every single vessel, put them into a small group and just, like a lawnmower, roll over all those drones on the gas and on the minerals. There he comes. Does it look like KongKong has burrow upgrade? Oh, he does have burrow upgrade? He has burrow upgrade. He tried to burrow those drones, but those drones went down too quick. Now the vessels have gone down, but at the cost of losing about 20 or 30 drones for KongKong. KongKong's economy is now taking a hit. But as long as he can keep those Defianters here alive for the swarms, KawaiiHano will be unable to progress into KongKong's base. These spores here make it very hard for the vessels to progress. Something I personally like to do is to use my scans offensively to keep track of where those Defilers are, so I can try to snipe them with my vessels and irradiate. Downside of using your vessels to go for the lawnmower move or go for the drones is the fact that you now lack a good number of vessels here at the front to be offensive. Like now he only has a single vessel for radiates, more vessels are on the way. He can throw down 8 vessels at the same time. That just gives him the option to restore and replenish his vessel count quite rapidly. But I personally prefer to hold on to my vessels and just very slowly progress here in the front and kill those Defilers as fast as I can, because giving the Zerg more time is not really what I want to see or what I like to see in my own play. KawaiiHano now splitting up his tanks to the side. It's getting a really good spread out. Having a spread on a Zerg like this, I think, is absolutely crucial. If you can get tank sieged up there, tank sieged up here, you create this nice U-shape. Like you can see right here, a beautiful U-shape. Well, it's only half a U-shape right now, but it makes it very hard for the Zerg to control those Defilers, because now you have to get swarms up on multiple sides of your base with a single Defiler, and it exposes your Defiler and your lurkers way more quickly to those tank shots that you don't want to expose them to. Vessels now coming in, gets a beautiful radiate off on some drones. Drones do not get burrowed. 9 drones go down. All the drones are burrowed. There are no spores within range to attack these vessels. The vessels can just keep hanging there, forcing the drones to remain burrowed. You're gonna have to make Scorches very quickly and take those down. Scorches are on the way though. But this is gonna hurt KongKong because KongKong now does not have any minerals coming in. As long as those vessels are up there. Huge fight happening in the front. Scorch is now going for the vessels, but he uses 4 Scorches on just a single vessel instead of spreading them up 2 on 2. So those vessels there remain alive. The front here has been cleared out though, so KongKong has regained the upper hand here in the choke. Forced KawaiiHano out of the choke, out of his base, and back into the middle of the map. So the game has somewhat reset. Other than KongKong having a very low amount of minerals because of that mineral harass from the radiates that KawaiiHano threw out on his drones. Now he's walking back in because the lurkers here in the front all went down to the radiates, I assume. But he didn't get them under there, so now he can once again get that U shape up inside of KongKong's base. Getting those tanks in there, getting the pressure in there as well. Making life harder for KongKong. KongKong now only on less than 100 minerals. Those minerals are now rocketing back up. He gets those tanks in there. The Goliaths, they're assisting. He's by mistake sending those Defilas in there as well. That's a costly mistake. If he kept those Defilas here, he could have more easily held himself. But his minerals are so extremely low that he's not even able to make Hydralisks or Lurkers. So I assume the game is going to end here very soon because Battlecruisers have come out as well for KawaiiHano. Which is, in my opinion, kind of a BM move because Battlecruisers are not that strong in TVZ on fastest map, but once you have them out, you're pretty much saying that I've already won the game because I'm going for a less efficient, less effective move than the alternative, which is Vessels and Goliaths and Valkyries, which are more easy to control and more effective at pulling off their specific goal. But now KawaiiHano starts to push in. He's pretty big. And KongKong is really, really small. KongKong is having a really hard time here maintaining his lurker swarm. His minerals are still very, very low. His gas is absolutely huge. If I were KongKong, I'd pull all these drones off and put them on my minerals because I've got 5,000 gas. And I honestly don't need more gas. I need more minerals. And now he finally decides to pull some drones off of his gas and put them on the minerals. He still has a bunch of drones burrowed there. Now he's unburrowing them. I guess that is why his income was so low. He didn't unburrow all of his drones. So that mistake actually costs him the game here, because I don't think he's going to make a comeback here. And he does not get the swarm off in time. Bit of a miscontrol there. Lurkers there trying to get under the swarm, but lurkers go down before they can burrow up. Oh, the single one does get in there. 2 actually got in there. But the 2 get radiated and are going to go down very quickly. That's the beauty of vessels in TVZ. They are very versatile, have many functions, and are, in my opinion, the best option to go for. It takes a little bit of effort, though, to click that radiate on every single one. Sometimes you click on a vessel and it does not have energy. So sometimes it can be a fight against your own vessels. If you just so happen to click on a vessel that doesn't have energy 5 times in a row, just to find that single one that does. Now once again, the game has slowed down a little bit. He's waiting for that swarm to end before he advances deeper into KongKong's base. KongKong is preparing another lurker swarm. KawaiiHano is setting up a Yamato cannon. Alright, so he's threw down a bunch of defensive matrices on his battlecruisers. Battlecruisers now going in lurker swarm are coming down, but lurkers don't really do much against battlecruisers. So now he's going directly for the main hive. The main hive HP is dropping very quickly. A plague came down on the battlecruisers, but there's nothing there to take down the battlecruisers. The battlecruisers are staying alive for a very, very long time because the plague takes them down very, very slowly. The spores also doing very little damage, and the main hive of KongKong goes down. Now KawaiiHano decides to pull in the rest of his units because he knows that the game has been won, and now he just has to keep up the pressure and kill those drones there in the back, or take down these spores with those battlecruisers. Spores go down. KongKong calls GG because KongKong knows that now the game is over and KawaiiHano wins the game in 24 minutes of pretty much a stalemate and a slight back and forth happening in the front of KongKong's base. KongKong held on pretty well, but KawaiiHano comes out on top with a 24-minute Terran vs. Zerg Battlecruiser Hive Snipe win. And this is pretty much how you should be playing your TVZ. Use those vessels to kill those defilers and very slowly progress like a tug of war or the rope pulling game, where every single choice you make could just be... Wait, I think the rope pulling game is called tug of war. But like every single step is a step forward. It's a very slow and methodical game where you slowly progress deeper into the enemy base and eventually go in for the killing blow. Hope you enjoyed this one. And KawaiiHano, I hope you enjoyed this one specifically. So thanks for watching and see you in... I forgot to drink water. See you in the next video.